Tariffs. To me, I think it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary. More beautiful than love. It will make our country extremely wealthy again.
We're on the cusp of a trade war, and here's our general. Elon! The U.S. is threatening tariffs against Canada, Mexico, and China. And Tiny Fingers is threatening to invade Panama, Greenland, and Canada. And here's our general. And all of the MAGA lieutenants on Fox News, which is all MAGA people watch, well, this guy, he's so far up Tiny Fingers' bum, he can kiss Hannity on the lips.
You say that Americans don't have a problem with Canadians, and we don't. But it seems like you have a problem with us. I would consider it a privilege to be taken over by the United States of America. For some reason, that's repellent to you Canadians. And I find that personally offensive, Premier.
And you wonder why Canadians are booing the U.S. national anthem at hockey games? And speaking of Fox, they're fully erect at Mexico sending 1,000 troops to the border, like Trump's threats really worked. But this isn't the first time.
Puts on retaliatory tariffs against things made in states that Trump cares about. And by the way,
let's see if they do that by the end of the
they
year.
will. But by the way,
let's see if that happens.
Mexico sent 10,000 troops to the border in 2021 when Joe Biden was president. So it doesn't take the stock market tanking and threats of a tariff war to get Mexico to respond.
Look, putting a guy with 6 bankruptcies in charge of the economy is like putting Dairy Queen in charge of national intelligence.
Gas prices are high now. Just wait until you're forced to drive an electric vehicle.
And even if Trump is bluffing and never intends for any of this to go full throttle, the damage will assuredly hurt the MAGA minions who believed his lies.
Tariff! And one of the things I'm going to do, I'll give you this as a little insight. I just announced it in Pittsburgh. I didn't think it's become a very big story already, so. We're going to tell Mexico you're killing tremendous numbers of our people by allowing China to send their fentanyl through your system and through your country. And we're going to give them a little period of time, but we don't want drugs coming across our border or any border. And whether it's Mexico or Canada or wherever, because they're starting now in Canada, they're starting to go up north. But whether it's Mexico or Canada, we're going to explain to them quickly that if you allow fentanyl and these drugs to come through your country, we're going to charge you large-scale tariffs on everything you send into the United States. And they're making a lot of money in the United States. They couldn't exist without us, so we're going to do that.
First of all, does that sound like a well man? No, he sounds like a guy who's minutes away from a stroke-induced bowel evacuation through his mouth. But here's what Tiny Fingers doesn't get, and this is from the Wall Street Journal, which is about as liberal as Mitch McConnell's jowls. Tariffs are taxes, and when you tax something, you get less of it. Who pays the tariff? Well, that depends on the elasticity of the supply and demand for specific goods. But the First Lady wants American workers and employers to take one for the team and hope you don't lose your job or business before the golden age arrives.
16 Nobel Prize-winning economists are predicting that a Trump victory would set off what they call an inflation bomb. They say it would cause lasting harm to the global economy.
And the reference to fentanyl coming into the U.S., ICE, the FBI, and the Border Patrol will tell you this. Fentanyl isn't coming into the U.S. via Canada or via the cartel. China remains a primary source of fentanyl and fentanyl-related substances, trafficked through international mail and into ports like Long Beach in California. Here's enough fentanyl right here to kill everyone in Los Angeles. And here's the cargo ships coming in. You want to look for it? Good luck. And one more thing. You know why China is sending fentanyl here? Because Americans are consuming it. That's like blaming your mouth for your 52-inch waistline.
He wants to send kill squads into Mexico to eliminate leaders of drug cartels. Reports say Donald Trump wants to do this with or without the consent of the Mexican government.
And the traffickers coming across the southern border, it ain't Pedro, it's Peter. Americans are smuggling it in. But Trump has lied so long and vigorously about Hispanics and Latinos, none of his people will believe the truth.
What would solve the whole thing in the border if they would just start shooting? Only shoot a couple and they would go home.
You think deterrence would work?
If they would shoot.
But attacking Canada and Mexico without expecting a pushback is typical for this hump. Trump has a long history of proving his lack of business acumen. I mean, in addition to his bankrupt business ventures, 6 of them, he bankrupted a casino. That's like defying gravity. People are giving you money simply for the thrill of losing it. How do you f that up? The only way that happens is when you skim or steal from the profits. But attacking Canada will hurt Americans as much or more than Canada. We are bigger and we'll feel more of the pain. And not really ironically, Trump will hurt Republicans more than Democrats.
So we're going to do that. And we're going to tell China that if you continue to send fentanyl to Mexico or any place else that comes into our country, we're going to charge you a 25% tariff on everything you sell into the United States of America.
Okay, the United States is the world's largest importer of goods, and we import more than $500 billion from China, and they will push back with a tariff on goods we buy, which will be approximately $125 billion to American consumers, which means if Americans want Chinese goods, we're going to get taxed around $1,000 per person a year, or $4,000 per household. Oh, but what if we buy American goods instead? Well, if other countries are facing a 25% tariff, they won't be buying our goods, so the prices will go up. People will be laid off, and the nation will spiral into a deep recession. And I haven't even mentioned inflation caused by sending home undocumented workers in agriculture and manufacturing. Trump has no idea what the fuck he's doing.
By the way, what happens does happen when you put tariffs on goods and you stop immigration and force migrants to leave in terms of wages?
Unless you're Hamilton, I'm kind of against it.
Isn't that going to be inflationary?
Of course.
Is it a one-time, though, and then you sort of even out?
I don't know. I mean, when you see tariffs like that, obviously you think about 1929.
So, not surprisingly, Canada's hitting back with new border taxes that will hit orange juice, whiskey, and peanut butter, all from states with GOP senators. That's just the beginning. Then there's beer, wine, vegetables, perfume, clothing, shoes, household appliances, furniture, and a whole lot more. Canada could also withhold critical minerals. And I think this is significant. Canada's conservative opposition leader, a guy named Pierre Poilievre, also called for retaliation. Poilievre is a favorite to be the next prime minister, and he's saying Canada will stand up for its sovereignty and protect its economic interests. And as far as being the 51st state,
go f yourself.
They're already reeling North America's energy markets, which are highly integrated. Even Trump recognized the risk of hitting Canada's energy exports to the U.S. with a lower 10% tariff. But that will still hurt Midwestern MAGA refiners that rely on Canadian oil. Canada and Mexico, they could send more of their oil elsewhere for refining, perhaps even China.
China.
We are standing on one leg on a boat at sea in a storm, and this is your captain.
Tariffs. To me, I think it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
There's an iceberg headed our way.
Iceberg, right ahead!
But nobody's listening.
Damn right. I'm as mad as hell.
Whether the women like it or not.
Suck my fat one.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore!
And this guy's personal life is a total disaster.
Trust me.
Shut the f up, Darren.
Who's with me? Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes!
Tick-tock!
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.